What's going on, everybody? I'm coming at you with a different video, and I wanted to talk about my 2023 year in review because it's been one hell of a year. Okay, so I got some stuff here written down because there's a lot of stuff that I really wanted to touch upon. So I'm just gonna go through this, probably freestyle in between, and just see what comes up. All right. So 2023. This has been a very deep year for me in the sense of just doing a lot of deep inner work, like soul work, spiritual work, shadow work, deeper realizations of self. Something that I really solidified in learning something about myself is how selfish and inconsiderate I can be with my words and my actions. And the reason why I bring this up is because earlier this year, I had a fallout with a very close friend of mine. And it was a complete misunderstanding. I was completely oblivious to things that I said and things that I kept pestering on. And he blew up on me, and I had no idea why he blew up on me. And he's a sensitive guy. That's just the nature of it. But I completely misinterpreted it, and I'll admit I was being a bitch about it. I told our mutual friend that I didn't want to contact or communicate with him anymore because I was like, dude, I'm just done figuring him out. I'm done. And I waited 3 days after I made up that decision. But when I got together with our mutual friend and he broke down everything that happened in that situation, he made me realize how selfish and inconsiderate I was. And that's just like one aspect that I had to face. And he's a very good friend of mine. Long story short, we reconnected, we grabbed a couple beers, we hashed it out, and I got that situation a lot better. But he knows who he is. If he's watching this video, you know who you are. We're good, we're cool, onwards and upwards. Next thing I want to talk about is Instagram purge. Okay. So earlier this year, I think it was probably like February or March or one of the months earlier this year, I decided to go on an Instagram purge. Okay. And the reason why that is because, I think I've been on Instagram since 2012 and maybe even like 2011. And over the years, you start to accumulate friends over the years. You start to meet people. And Instagram's a little bit different than Facebook because Facebook, you can be, friends on there, and you doesn't really matter. Years go by and you're still friends with them, and you don't really give a cahoot. But Instagram's a little bit different because people see who you're following, and I really had to get deep and say to myself, okay, you've been following all these people for 10 years. Who are your friends? Who are your real close friends? And that was an uncomfortable thing that I had to go through because I'm like, I don't want to unfollow so-and-so. But it's like I had to be honest with myself. Okay, do you look for them and do they look for you? And what's the likelihood of you actually seeing them again? Are you resonating? Are you on the same path? Are you close? Do they check up on you? So I had to unfollow a lot of people. And if I unfollowed you on Instagram and I was following you for a long time, it's nothing personal. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It just means that we're on different life paths. And so between Instagram and even Threads or any other social media network, I really try to only keep it to people that I'm close with and have like a good working relationship. So if I follow somebody on Instagram, um, in the long haul, that means that there's some sort of significance. Of course, there's going to be times where you connect with somebody on Instagram because it's just the easiest way to connect with somebody. But if I don't hear from you within a year or two, it's nothing personal. It's just the reality of life. Okay. Um, there was a psychic by the name of John Edwards, and I believe I was watching him on an interview with Maria Menounos for the Heal Squad podcast. And he made an analogy that really stuck with me. I think he had brought this up. I think it was earlier this year for 2023. He had mentioned that every year he would write Christmas cards and he would mail them out. And one year he just decided, you know what? I'm going to not give any Christmas cards and see how much I get back in return. And sure enough, he got little to nothing. And then he realized, why am I exerting so much energy on people that aren't going to give me the same reciprocity? And so in a similar way, what I would do is I would send out, mass text messages to people about, oh, happy holidays, happy new year, hope you're doing well. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I am just going to keep it to a few and a small, and just nurture the people that I'm close with, your friends, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, your friends are the people who check up on you. There's a lot of people that like to put a label on, oh, your tribe or my tribe and blah, blah, blah. And, how many people in your tribe or whatnot genuinely give you a call or send you a text message and say, hey, how's everything? How's life? And just genuinely checking up on you, not trying to sell you something, not trying to get anything from you. They just genuinely care. And so that's something that I've been trying, not perfect, but I've been trying to get better at with my friendships, people that are close with me and people that I want to be close with. But yeah, going back to Instagram, it's like, you've had people on there for 10 years. It's like, are you really going to follow these people 50 years from now? So it's like, it's thinking ahead. And so there's that. Next, as far as haters go, yes, I do have a little bit of haters. I've gotten some interesting mail the last 14 months. I'm not going to name any names because why would I give anybody the promotion? I've gotten a few messages where people have tried to provoke me, and I'll be honest, yeah, I feel some type of way about it. I'm like, man, like, what that fuck, man? Fuck that motherfucker. Like, I just want to curse up a storm, and yeah, I'm human. I'm going to feel some type of way. But I'm not stupid to respond back, to give that person leverage in screenshotting that and posting. Like, I'm just not going to do that. So as far as that goes, listen, if you're like Matthew McConaughey or Ryan Reynolds or somebody that's like established, then I would consider responding back to you. But if you're not at that level, I'm going to ignore you. I will disconnect from you. I won't block you. I'll keep the line open to see how far you'll go if you go that far. But that's it. I'm not stressing about it. It's in the past. I'm in the present. I'm looking ahead. But there's just a way that I deal with hate mail or fan mail, I guess you could say. Yeah, so that's that. I mean, you're not bound to be who you were 10 years ago. You're allowed to change. And evolve and be enlightened, like however that is. I'm not one to tell you like who to be, but that's how I deal with online opposition. 10 years ago, I would have been putting up a show. I was clout chasing back then by trying to get reactions from people and pissing people off, but I'm not like that anymore. I see the bigger picture, and I do the best that I can today to really pay attention to what's important. Okay. Um, Another thing that's been really big for me this year is self care. Self care is really big with me. 34, my body has definitely changed. So something that I try to do every 3 or 4 months now is give myself like a full body massage. I'll go to a spa, get myself a deep tissue, because now I have to start thinking of, inflammation of the body and stress and cortisol and all that type of stuff. So self-care is something that I've been really focusing on a lot differently. I've always been big on self-care, but now I have to take care of myself a little bit differently, from being more mindful of the foods I eat, to minimizing inflammation foods like Doritos, ice cream, sweets, etc. Earlier this year, so something that was a really big highlight for me as well this year too was I got 2 Reiki sessions done earlier this year, and that was very interesting. I've always been interested in that, and that was very profound. That really made me fully aware of the energy body. It was very healing and relaxing, and that's actually something that I'm going to be looking forward to do more, like in the new year, 2024. So I did a couple sessions this year, but next year I'd like to do like 4, like maybe like once every 3 or 4 months, just do like a Reiki session to really unblock like whatever's blocked in that time. And also with the Reiki stuff, like I'm also interested in being a Reiki practitioner. I actually have a friend of mine who hit me up to initiate me into Reiki work, and I'm gonna go through with that. I'm not gonna be a like Reiki practitioner career wise, but I like the idea of knowing that I could do that for myself and my loved ones and advance more in that level. Another highlight this year, I went to go see Ladytron. Ladytron, it's like a female techno group. I went to the Belasco in downtown LA, and I wanted to see them. I think it was like 4 years ago at the Fonda in Hollywood, but I wasn't able to make it. But I went to go see Ladytron, and when I worked at a gym in Burbank, like 13 years ago, there was a song called Ace of Heart that would always play all the time. And ever since then, I'd always just listened to Ladytron's music. That is something that I'm a little shy and embarrassed to admit. Yeah, I like Ladytron. I think they're amazing. But I had a really good time at that concert. That was a good time. As far as career goes, it's been a very stagnant year in the entertainment business, obviously with the actor strike, the writer strike. It was a blessing in disguise, you could say. Just nothing happened. Nothing happened with what I wanted to do in terms of making short films. But I did get a grant, and we're going to be filming early next year for my short film, so that's pretty good. In relation to filmmaking, something that I got a crash course on was communicating with talent, okay? Actors, people that you want to get in your movie, okay? So there's a few actors that I was orbiting this year to get them to work in a short film of mine, a second short film of mine that we're trying to get made to make into a feature film. That's something I'll talk about a little bit later. But I definitely learned a thing or two about talent and negotiation, and yeah, I had a little bit of pie, a humble pie to eat from that this year, but it's all good. It was a great learning experience. I wouldn't change it, and I feel pretty optimistic about things next year. So that's something that I'll say about that. Um, let's see. Also, taking care of my grandmother. I did a video earlier about my grandmother and her passing away, and that was a very humbling experience. And yeah, it really put an emphasis for me wanting a family of my own and just realizing just what's important in life. Like the last 5 years have been very healing and transformation for me, but um, seeing that my grandma was dying and then knowing that she passed away really put a lot more emphasis for me on just what's important in life. So I'm looking forward to one day being a father and having children and just going more in that direction. So we'll see how that plays out. I feel pretty good about it. A little uncertain about some areas in relation to that, but we'll see how it plays out. I have a good feeling about that. That much I can say. And then, okay, last but not least, I just started taking acting classes again. I've been taking acting classes since fall of 2018. I had to take a break, and in between that break, I still stayed in touch and tune with my emotions. Something about myself today, as opposed to 8 years ago, is I'm very in touch and in tune with my emotions. Something that I did a lot back then was I used to suppress my feelings. I used to be in denial. Like, for example, like I could be insecure and I would deny that I was insecure because that's a turnoff or a demonstration of lower value. Versus I have a much different outlook on that where I'm like, no, the truth of the moment is very powerful. And for better or worse, um, it's going to change something. And if I'm going to change something, I'd rather have it be from a place that's truthful than a lie. And if that works for people, great, awesome. And if it doesn't, awesome. I just want to live in the truth of just being more of who I am. And that's not easy. It's very simple to do that, but it's not easy. And in a future video, I'm going to talk about Meisner acting, repetitions, and my experience with acting. I'm going to talk about that because I think that work has been the most transformational work that I've ever done in my life. And I feel it's important to share that because I feel like a lot of people repress and suppress as well as deny their emotions. And I feel like when you do that, you're just building up more and more pressure to where you eventually explode. And so emotions are temporary. That's something that I realize very fully, where if I'm feeling very upset, or even if I'm sad, insecure, happy, turned on, excited, it's temporary. It doesn't last. It doesn't last. So emotions are temporary. But when you speak to them, things change. And when you let other people know what you're feeling, things change. I'm going to tell you, since I've been in touch with that, my life has really blossomed a lot in terms of relationships of all sorts. It's been very it's been a lot more fruitful being like that than it has been doing other things. So you just gotta find your center with who you are, be able to define that, express that, and then life just becomes a little bit more beautiful. But that's it. That's pretty much it. That's my 2023 year in review. I appreciate you guys watching. And yeah, 2024 is on the horizon. I feel much more confident about 2024 than I do about 2023. 2023 has been one hell of a ride. I'm grateful for all my friends. You guys know who you are. And that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.